a lot of you asked me about Elon. He was on the show a few hours ago, and then it clicked on him after about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But you can, so this records everything. When this finishes, you can actually listen to the recording, and you can skip 4 hours in. I think Elon comes in. Otherwise, if you're here because of the FTX story, and you can go through my tweets. Most of the important topics that were discussed, I've tweeted them. I've mentioned what the source is. Obviously, you can listen to the recording to go through it all. I've had my team check the tweet before it goes out. Like I can see some people that I'm sure, like Michelle from CNBC, for example, I just saw her in the audience. Michelle and other people from the press, just go through the tweets. Some things are not verified yet, so make sure that you read the entire tweet and the thread to know what's been verified, what's verified. We've had a few insiders come on as well. The insiders were verified, accounts were verified as well. So I hope you'll find value and a lot of useful information. And anyone that's representing FTX or representing the victims or is going to be involved in the proceedings, I think you'll be finding a lot of useful information in the space. So that's a brief overview, but otherwise I'll just continue the discussion and give the mic to Gaurav. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How about you, man? I don't even have to ask. We've been chatting. I know you haven't slept for days, whatever, but you're doing great. By the way, we have reached out to CoinDesk already with a request to mention the link and the space. But one of the quick replies we've had is like we're waiting to come up so that they can have the live link there.
We've had a few people request the recording, so we cannot give you the recording. Actually, we have someone using a phone to record it, so we have a copy as well in case.
In CoinDesk, interestingly enough, I pinned this up here to the top. They've already covered Elon Musk coming onto the round table.
Yeah, but they haven't covered space. That's what I was talking to Mario about.
Yes, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just texted a link to James Rubin. He's one of the editors at CoinDesk.
Yeah, I mean, these guys should tag the source, man. That's truly brutal of them not doing it.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you. Hey, by the way, just quickly chat. Do you want to go through the group? There's some breaking news. I think, can you verify it before sharing it in the group? Nasia's sharing it in the group right now. If you can go through it, please chat. I'm sorry, Gaurav, go ahead.
When I share my story, but I'm really frustrated.
Cool. So I quickly wanted to cover, as usual, you know, my pitch. I've been on your space many times on many topics, and my tone and pitch, I think, is the same even today. We are talking as if something new happened, as if we don't have solutions in Web3 and blockchain on this, as if you know this was never anticipated. So without even bragging about what we are doing with our startups and helping, I really want to go back to 2017 and the first ever ICO, the DAO. All these points of transparency, of logged tokens, of variations and balances and similarity differences between equity and tokens were sort of defined, if not in the white paper, then on the side papers along those documents. to cover quickly, and I've been eager to sort of boiling since the last 30 minutes to cover, is there are many solutions in the world that would simply implement your tokenomics as they would, your tokenomics on a smart contract, so that the treasury, the allocation, the budgets, the investments, the influencers, and even retail investors are all publicly, first of all, they're all tagged and pegged and pinned to the smart contract, and those addresses are actively and live tagged to the individual person. So, and if the individual is not, happy about it, then obviously there can be ways and means of, to not do that. And I don't want to sound shilling, but there are projects in our portfolio that do it. So I think the onus eventually comes back to all of us to educate and implement the best practices and be disciplined enough to execute that as and when required.
If I may, guys, it's good to hear yourselves like talk, but like real people who were influenced by this. Like, can I just share my story quick and give the mic?
Sure. So you were one of the people that were impacted by the FTX hack.
My name is Yellow. I'm going by Yellow, and I was really affected by this rag. I was really a believer in the platform and the change that was bringing to the space. And now I'm reading that the CEO is just gone. He was there and gone. And basically, my thesis, my conclusion is like blue is like a scam. I paid my $8, but like I don't get my blue chip. Like, where's my blue thing, right?
Okay, bro. I don't. But how does that relate to FTX, man? I think not having a blue ticket doesn't sound like that big of a problem to me.
Oh, we're talking about the FTX. No, I got dragged by Elon.
Okay, bro. Okay, bro. I think this is less of a problem than people losing their life savings due to the FTX hack. So I hope that you get your $8 back, or Elon opens up the verification. I hope you can get it. And I appreciate you coming on. But I'll give the mic to Rob or Ninja. By the way, Ron, are you there? I can see you in the as one of the speakers.
I'm here, bro. I'm just checking into a flight. I'm here.
All right, bro. When you want to continue, you're telling us a story about BitBoy. So when you want to continue that story, do so after you check in the flight, maybe. Also, Gaurav, just thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts earlier as well. I'll give the mic to Ninja and Rob, who are patiently waiting.
Go ahead, Rob.
Rob, are you there?
Right. Rob is engagement farming. All right, I have a question. I have a question for Simon, Mr. Simon Dixon. First of all, thank you for all of the knowledge and you've shared so far, especially walking us through all of the excuse me, I'm on no sleep too, bankruptcy proceedings and all that. It was very educational and enlightening. My question is for, I know there's various types of investors and people in this space and in this room. Everybody from mega VCs down to just regular people. What do you say to people who have, say, all of their crypto is in cold storage or a ledger, it's safe. They have exposure to NFTs, but not big. But they hold a lot of crypto. They also hold a lot of cash, or a lot of stable coins, specifically USDC that they've made from this bull market. But they also hold cash in the bank. Because I guess I don't really kind of know where to position myself besides all this. Because earlier you were saying, and of course having Bitcoin, I do have Bitcoin. But earlier you were saying about, how the cycle goes, and it really kind of feels like there's nowhere safe to go anywhere. And I'm just curious, what would you say to that type of investor in the room?
Yeah, sure. Mario, this is. Can I shill something quickly?
You want to shill something, Simon, for the first time in weeks and weeks and weeks of bringing value without asking for anything in return. I think it's fair that you shill something.
Okay.
But Simon, just to remember, you've invested in half of crypto. So I think every project we mention, there's a 50-50 chance that anything you say is shilling because you're probably invested.
Okay, cool. But no, prior to so in 2009, I released a video called The Great Depression of the 2020s. And then I did an update pre-COVID and created a website called retirementplanb.com. And that was designed, I actually invested $1 million publicly to show people exactly how I'd allocate it to be prepared for bank failure, hyperinflation, pandemic, war, and inflation, deflation, economic growth, and economic decline. So you can get the free video series; it's still there. But in a very short nutshell, I like because I've been through all these different cycles. I position myself for three eventualities. One is that the U.S. empire continues to be rolled over with central bank digital currencies, which is a continuation of the same. And so I have a US dollar portfolio for that continuation. I also have a portfolio for a change in empire, which is where you have gold and various other things. And then I have a portfolio for what I think the world's going to look like in a crypto and Bitcoin world. And so when I have those three eventualities, I've got the status quo being rolled over by central bank. I've got the fall of the empire, and I've got a protection from different eventualities based upon my beliefs around hard money and economics. And so once I've got that, I can relax and do anything. But then you need to manage your life. And I break things up into 4 buckets. The first bucket is spending. And I believe that the best way of spending money is in the currency that most of your expenses, which is fiat. But then I break it into saving. And saving, I believe, should be hard money, which I believe is gold physical and Bitcoin as digital. And then you have investing. And investing is where you try and outperform your savings by taking risk. And if enough of your investments outperform your hard money, then sometimes it blows up. You can then borrow against your investment account, which is why I ended up in Celsius and a creditor. And if it goes well, then you do the 4th bucket, which is contribution. So it's a long answer, but what I'd like to say is that from my experience, and says to me, not your keys, not your coins. I get it, but I'm not going to put 100% of my future on not your keys, not your coins. When somebody says Bitcoin, I get it, because they're looking for thinking in a 1-year cycle. They just invest in pump and dumps, they trade, and they make all the mistakes that never get them ahead over a 10-year cycle. And so if there's one thing I could impart you with, is use this valuable learning experience to put together a decade plan and become an investor, not a trader. And then eventually, if you've generated enough wealth, you can go into trading if you really want. But everything I've seen from being involved in Bitcoin from the beginning, I know people that are in the same financial position that they were at the first Bitcoin conference, even though they were involved in the highest performing asset class in history, because they became traders rather than investing. And if all they did was invest and dollar cost average and do the simple things and then prepare for a different outcomes, then one of the biggest problems of why people couldn't save their Bitcoin is because they were using it for spending. So I like to use fiat currency for spending, Bitcoin for saving, and then have an investment portfolio that prepares for a dollar world, a change of empire, and a hyper-Bitcoinization world. and that served me very well. And that's what I share. And I invested publicly on that webpage and created a video series on it.
That's super helpful. Thank you so much. And just a follow-up question: what is the name of that series again, please?
Oh, it's www.retirementplanb.com. Sorry for such a shield.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It was a direct answer to my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go to Umbrella, Kim, are you there or did you fall asleep? I knew you'd fall asleep. I knew I'd last.
I'm here. Hello.
Hey, okay, respect. Can I bring up I think the victims are ready to come up. The team just messaged me. Are you ready to bring them up now?
Sure.
Cool. All right. Well, Umbrella, I'll give you the mic while the team brings up the 2 or 3 victims. Go ahead, Umbrella.
Yeah, I think 2 things. Firstly, what was mentioned earlier in terms of regulators, like as a Web3 builder, I had a meeting with regulators and I asked them a simple question: have you used DeFi or any crypto protocols? And the answer I got from the regulatory team, and there's a big regulatory team that regulates some of the big exchanges, the answer was no. They haven't never used DeFi before. And I asked them why, and they said it was simple, that they don't understand it and it doesn't fit within their risk appetite. So I think that was a key highlight of a problem we have dealing with regulators. I'm not saying all of them are the same. I think this is such a new technology for them. Whereas when they, regulating the banking system, everyone's got a bank account, uses a bank, pretty much in, all our economies. But when it comes to DeFi, they don't have that experience and expertise, and it's difficult. How do we expect them to regulate something never used before? So I think that was, when people berate the regulators and say they don't understand what they're doing, we also got to understand it's new for them. So I think we need to, and what I was trying to do is educating them in terms of, what it means, what DeFi means, what it can do, and even if it, I said to them, I'll set you the MetaMask accounts and send you some testnet tokens so they can even mess around and not have to, they don't realize they could do that and not actually have to spend funds to participate in DeFi. And then secondly, I don't know if anyone saw, but basically I got shared this from a reliable source right now that how clumsy the supposed FTX hacker was on Tron's blockchain. They got the TRX and and then they sent the TRX to another account, so they had no TRX remaining in their account to be able to change the USDT. And by the time they try to get the TRX back into the account to actually do transactions, the USDT was blacklisted.
This is insane. This is insane. This is one of the stupidest hacks I've seen in the space. And it's one of the biggest.
This shows to me that someone who doesn't really understand DeFi, who's not a sophisticated hacker.
Yeah, and that brings back, and Gaurav, I don't know if you heard earlier, I know you have your hand up, that we, Brother Umbrella, I can't mute you if you can mute, just a bit of feedback noise. But we've had, if you go through my tweets, we've had a few people indicate now, many people indicate that this is very likely to be internal. And someone that's pretty inexperienced in relation to the hack. And there's more conspiracy theories from very credible sources. I've tweeted some of them as well. But I'll give you the mic, my friend, before we get the victims on stage.
I'd rather save myself from speaking on either of the sides of the theory, right? Unless I have the right data about it. But at the same time, going back to the basics, I would say all of us can definitely look at solutions that can that can give us the right custody, that can save us from these insider attacks, insider or outsider attacks. And I want to the conversation was on, so I didn't jump in. But after Simon mentioned his bit, I think I'll tweet the name of the project or a few projects that offer us a full life cycle cover of a crypto startup. What I mean by